Hey everybody, welcome to Clean and Sober Stoner. I'm Scott Spires, the managing editor of MonsterRiff.com and CleanandSober.com. And this is insane. My understanding is we have this little festival called Seismic Summer coming up on August, what's the date?
August 17th.
Oh, good God, that's right around the corner. So guys, introduce yourselves and then tell us what the hell is going on here.
Sure. I'll start. I'm Bryan Reed. I play guitar and sing in the band Doomsday Prophet, and I'm really happy to be helping my good friend Garrett from Cosmic Reaper promote and organize this festival in Charlotte.
Yeah, thanks, Bryan. Yeah, I'm Garrett. I play bass in Cosmic Reaper, and Seismic Summer was kind of my brainchild that has grown, and I brought on some team members, and Bryan is one of those team members, as well as just general cohort of the music scene in North Carolina.
So I've got two bucket list bands right here, right now. I've never done an interview with Doomsday Prophet. And then Cosmic Reaper, you guys are gods to me. Like before I knew the North Carolina scene, I was following the Doom charts. I can't believe I have you on this channel. I might be a little nervous.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
No, seriously, you guys are heavy as hell. I'm a bass player. I could go on for days about the bass playing. How did this whole thing come about? This is insanity. So it's a full stoner doom like festival in Charlotte. Charlotte's not well known for bringing the heavy. How did this happen?
I guess it was a multi-front reasons. Like you said, Scott, Charlotte doesn't have a kind of cornerstone festival or event, at least the date takes place yearly, that is a culmination of heavy music as a whole. There's been, 1 or 2 year items that have happened in the past, things that have discontinued, but nothing that's still going. So I saw a major void, one, that needed to be filled. The second thing is, Seismic Summer, as cheesy as it sounds, it's really just a way to cap off your season. A lot of people have seasonal jobs or, have kids or traveling. So it's kind of a way just to wrap up that whole thing before everyone gets back to the fall and winter grind as a final hurrah to celebrate the blistering heat. I think another big thing, and this is still a huge factor of it, is I wanted, bands that we met out on the road or played with, always, they hadn't come to Charlotte yet. So we had bands like that, as well as other bands saying, hey, we'd love to play Charlotte with you. Anyone who's in a band, Bryan can tell you, we try not to overplay the hometown. You saturate the market and people stop coming out and it gets boring. So to keep it fresh, I thought, hey, let's throw a fest where we can have all of our friends we've met on the road and other people who've never played Charlotte come together and do one big party together. And that way everyone gets a big city show or what have you, with a lot of people at it.
When I look at this lineup, it's basically a Clean and Sober Stoner Monster Riff bucket list. I mean, how in the hell did you get Satan Satyrs? By the way, that's a split album that Satan Satyrs did. They've been coming up on my channel like almost every other interview. How the heck do you get these folks? They're kind of hard to find.
So even last year, with the first rounds, I think I bounced the idea off of Bryan, just being a buddy that we chat music all the time, and we kind of brainstormed about who do you get for your top build act. And when you're a small DIY fest, something we're very proud of, you have limitations of budget, you have limitations of room. There's always limitations. So you're not. I mean, I don't want to say it, but we're not getting Crowbar. We're not getting High on Fire, at least not yet, maybe years down the road. But you got to think of who's a band that you're not going to see in your hometown on a weeknight.
I love Crowbar. I love Crowbar, but to be totally honest, I'd pay $100 to see Faerie Ring any day of the week, rather than an established legacy band like Crowbar. Faerie Ring jumps out to me as just completely over the top nuts gonzo. I've been trying to get an interview with them for like a freaking year, and then boom, now they're paying what, 2 hours away from. How did that happen?
If you don't mind, let's circle back to the Faerie Ring thing when we go full lineup. Bryan, I want you to weigh in on like why did we get Satan Satyrs and the other bands last year, and kind of a little bit of the process of who we go about picking.
And well, as friends who are musicians and music fans are wont to do, we spend a lot of time just bandying about bands that we like and bands that we've played with that, we'll play with a band and I'll tell Garrett, you need to go check these guys out. They're awesome. And vice versa, especially with both of our bands doing some regional touring, we get to make some connections. And so a lot of like how the lineup from top to bottom comes together is us just being like, all right, who do we want to see? And then who can we get? And, who do we want to play with again? So, Garrett really ran with it mostly last year. I'd say I had a little more input this time around. But it's the same idea of, getting bands that we're friendly with, who we've, crossed paths with on the road, or bands that we've been in communication but haven't had a chance to play with before. And making it that one event that we can all get together and hopefully, honestly, attract some of the other bands in the region so that we all get to know each other a little bit better and continue to build out this scene and this network that we're all a part of. So I think part of it is trying not to go too far afield with where we're pulling from. I think the farthest traveling band last year was Warlung from Texas, label mates with Reaper and Witch Pit, who were on the bill last year as well. And this year, Faerie Ring and Restless Spirit from Indiana and New York, respectively, are, I think, the farthest journeys, but still within, the easy long weekend touring range for any of the other bands on the bill. So if we connect and hopefully it spawns a bunch of little mini tours over the next year or two from the lineup that we have going on.
Okay, now you're killing me. I gotta hear Faerie Ring.
Oh, okay. Well, so I'll tell you this. Faerie Ring I give full credit to Bryan. That was one of his picks. I had seen the name. I'd heard some tunes on some Spotify algorithms. I had not deep delved into their stuff. Bryan threw them into the hat and said, hey, this band's really killing it right now. I think you'll be impressed. Yeah, after I heard it, I said, yeah, absolutely. So we sent it out, and, thankfully they said, yeah, we're in. And it's that simple, basically.
They're one of those bands, too, that, like Restless Spirit, like Satan Satyrs, I think they're all in that kind of, like, if you like heavy metal, you're probably going to like seeing them. Like, it's got that classic metal vibe, but it's still got the low, heavy, doomy feel. And it's fun, it's all those bands to me are kind of like, you remember the first time when you were little and you heard heavy metal and just got blown away by the guitar solos and the energy of it. And, we definitely have some more extreme acts, some harsher sounding acts on the bill too, which I think brings a good balance. But, I think the goal is to not be too hemmed in by any one specific subgenre and just try to make it a good time for all involved.
Speaking of heavy, I can't help but notice Mean Green.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What the hell do you guys think? They're going to tear the place apart. Your bass fins are going to be blown. You're not going to have a platform left. Those guys are heavy as...
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a great band. They were actually our third partner in this, Steve from Does It Doom. And we can circle back to more about his involvement, but that was kind of Steve's must-have on this. When I first approached him, we were talking about lineup being solidified. He's like, hey, I've seen Mean Green a couple times. We got to have them on. And I said, yeah, absolutely. North Carolina band, they're killing the Appalachian mountain scene right now.
And
I'm happy to have them.
Yeah, there was no argument on this end. We've played a bunch of shows with Mean Green. Glad to consider those guys friends. And yeah, it's been longer than I'd like to admit since I saw them last. And I've heard they have some new songs that are really great. And, they just had that big national tour with Ape Vermin earlier this year. So they should be firing on all cylinders. They'll be a tough act to follow, and they're right in the middle of the day, so some of us are going to have our work cut out for us.
Now, what time does WyndRider go on? Because there's one band on here I would not want to follow, and that's Chloe Gould and WyndRider, who, to me, I've identified them as one of the top 10 rising bands in the country. I think they're about to explode. WyndRider, well, okay,
Yeah. I don't know that we have exact set times scheduled, but I'm pretty. I know, obviously, we're here to promote the festival and everything, so I don't want to, toot our own horn too much, but this lineup really is an embarrassment of riches. Like,
I know,
right from the get go, right when the first set starts at about 3:00, like you're talking about world-class bands. We don't all have the world-class followings or, established careers that bigger headlining acts, around the country might have. But I think, you'd be hard pressed, from a pure quality standpoint in terms of performance, songwriting, everything. Like there's a lot of really great bands on this bill.
Well, I gotta throw you credit. You have GODSIZE, also from Johnson City in Tennessee, which is I believe that close to WyndRider. This is a hell of a lineup. And I know you wanted to circle back into a couple things, Garrett.
Oh yeah. Kind of just to jump on what Bryan was saying is about the talent of acts here. I'm putting this festival together. I'm a little bit of a stickler. Like I'm putting on the best bands, and it's hard because there's so many of them. There's so many really good acts. And, last year we had Bronco from Wilmington, and they had mentioned, we've played local fest before, but rarely do you have this kind of quality back to back to back to back to back, where every single act is keeping it fresh and, scratching whatever genre it may have for the day. So I'm proud to have every single buddy on here. For example, Blood Ritual from Greensboro. Scott, I don't know if you've ever got a chance to see them playing the Triangle or Triad, but they are insanity.
Oh yeah,
I've heard a lot of things about them. They keep popping up on Facebook, Instagram. There's a lot of buzz, so I'm looking forward to hearing it. And then of course these guys, Doomsday Prophet. How in the hell did that happen?
Oh, we bought on. It's all pure nepotism for Doomsday Prophet. Yeah, no, we're definitely the weak link on this lineup.
Yeah, whatever. Guys, can you tell us a little bit what can, because obviously there's going to be thousands and thousands descending after they see this. What's the venue like? Where's this being held?
This is at the world famous Milestone, and to my knowledge, it is the oldest continuously running punk rock, heavy metal venue for outsiders and weirdos on the entire East Coast.
Open since 1969.
As a matter of fact, there is a documentary that's finished and showing that's about to be released, all about the history of the Milestone and the wonderful folks who run it and keep it alive.
It's pretty amazing when you look at the number of bands that have played there over the years, early in their careers, Buzz Oven, the Melvins, Nirvana, Bad Brains, Black Flag, Acid Bath, Mastiff.
Pixies, right?
I believe so. Yeah. Across genres, underground music, it's been operating for so long, and it's been such a landmark in the South, not just in North Carolina, but in the South for touring bands. They have a list on their website that is worth scrolling through just to it blows my mind every time I look at it. I find a new one of my favorite bands that has played there, Neurosis, and it's unreal. So it's definitely, you feel like a part of history every time you step on that stage. They put a frame around the Bad Brains graffiti, so that's always there on display. No bands can put their sticker there. That's off limits. That's a sacred spot. But every other inch of the place is covered in stickers and graffiti from years of just amazing underground acts coming through. It really is kind of a landmark.
Okay, I think everybody is sold. This is possibly a once in a lifetime historic event, historic venue, bands that still they blow my mind. Where do people need to go to get their tickets?
The Milestone's official website.
TheMilestone.club.
No Ticketmaster, no Eventbrite. What the hell?
Absolutely not.
No, I think they use FreshTix is the ticketing platform that they use, but it's all available straight on the Milestones website. This is a DIY festival. It's a labor of love, and we're stoked to do it and have some great bands and some great partners involved. Garrett mentioned Steve from Does It Doom signed on to help sponsor the festival this year. He actually came out to the inaugural fest last year and I think had a good time. So was eager to take part this year, and we're of course glad to have him. If you don't know this, Does It Doom is based out of Charlotte too, so it's just kind of a nice little backyard barbecue for everybody down there.
This is incredible. We can talk it up for hours. But I honestly, I don't think if you're into heavy music and you're within 1,000 miles, this could be the place to be. The lineup is stellar. You get to meet the bands. Everybody's friendly, and this would be the thing. So Seismic Summer, August 16th. Man, I sound like I'm on radio. This fucking
yeah, we'll be there. We'll be there August 17th. Advanced tickets are $25. It is 30 at the door, so we recommend getting them early. And we will have a taco truck on site. King of Pops will be slinging some popsicles to help beat the heat. And I believe we have some of Steve is going to be demoing some of the Does It Doom guitars, pedals, maybe.
I think a little bit of his whole gear lineup will be there at least on display, as well as possibly there to demo. So that'll be really interesting. I mean, when's the last time you went to go to a show and there was amps and guitars and pedals to try out? I mean, no one's got that but us.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much for being on here. Guys, if you're not there, you're really missing out on the big one. This is Scott from Clean and Sober Stoner saying, dude,